July 31st, and this is an ongoing tube series on calendar invite marketing, particularly calendar invite marketing with a MailChimp template. And so yesterday I sent out a MailChimp template loaded with a call to action button here at the top and the bottom. And the button was loaded with this API. So when the button gets clicked here, the upper or lower button, a calendar invite is sent out for the Los Angeles Angels versus the Texas Rangers. So I've already done that. And what happens mechanically, it hits API number 1, which is an outbound service. You can see it talking to the API gateway for AWS and our AWS Calendar Invite Server we built. And it basically reassembles on the fly a UID match for this game. The calendar invite data assembles it in the correct format and sends it out. So that was the step 1. It's already been sent out. So event data can be updated in AWS Calendar Invite Server by organizer and send out calendar invite updates. So this is the sequence of workflow we're going through now. And essentially the organizer's calendar client event data is sent to a configured AWS simple email service box to process and store for updates or changes. So in update number 1, I said, come by the 675 and have a beer on us in the 5th inning. I intentionally did a typo here to show you in update 2 how that has changed. Essentially, this got sent out and the new calendar invite went out. You can see that I processed update 1. And then here's the detail of the process. So this data got inserted into AWS Calendar Invite Server again. It got disassembled and it got posted to the APIs. So update number 2 went back into the same calendar invitation on the organizer's calendar client. I edited it again and said, come by the booth 675 and have a beer on us. So I corrected the typos, and you can see in workflow, I'm actually down here in the workflow. So it got sent, and decision routing is automatic. We know it's an update because it's the same UID and we track it. Mechanically, you're not going to see the UIDs. They are essentially ghosted or part of the calendar invitation spec, but we know how that thing's disassembled, and we store it with a +1 and then track the update. So that's what you're seeing here mechanically. We sent that new data under number event update number 2. You see that right there, number 2, and I fixed the typo. So on the 3rd update, you'll see, again, I sent it to createacalendarsnack.com. It's an SCS box. It gets disassembled, and we do another database insert and update the data here in the APIs and say, hey, come by 675, but instead of the 5th inning, which was back here, you see that 5th inning, we've changed it now to the 9th inning, showing a calendar invite marketing workflow. So it's promotion-based. The hauling of this came off the MailChimp database. So the concept is to build out a MailChimp campaign, insert the calendar invite, and then you can experiment with the calendar invite marketing backhauling off the MailChimp campaign. So here we are to update number 3. We're talking to the APIs. Here's what mechanically happens though with these updates. So at a mechanical layer, you're sending the data back to the AWS SES API, essentially, or us with our calendar invite API stack here with our calendar invite server, and essentially it's disassembled and stored, and then we call it here. So if the software switch is turned on to auto send, the calendar invites are sent out to anyone that has a yes or no or not replied to the event anytime the calendar anytime the organizer changes data in the calendar client. So this is what's going on here in process workflow. So it's very important to understand. Over time, you'll kind of get to it and understand it. But then we do this process here, which I talked about. So workflow left, middle, and right is calendar invite for the organizer, pushing data here. We're staging it and understanding what iteration of update it is. We call the API, which is essentially a stack of services with APIs, and then send out the calendar invite. Now, if the software switch is turned onto approve or schedule mode, the calendar invite updates then are going to wait for an approval or essentially in a queue, And that queue will be in a GUI or routed back in an email approval process. So we do have a route process here that says if you don't want to send them out automatically, we can do it a manual way where there is a service approval. So that looks like here in service stitching. I did the demo. I walked you through where update 3 was. I walked you through how updates work and how they're processed and how we stamp the updates here. These are the mechanical updates visually to somebody that has received a calendar invite. They're going to get a auto switch on, and then that use case there with auto switch on here, which is the top route. If the switch is on, we automatically send out the calendar invites per the campaign. For MailChimp in particular, is what I'm walking you through. And you'll see update number 1, update number 2, and update number 3. It mechanically talks to the API gateway and sends out the commands to send out the new calendar invite. So you can see those mechanically have already been set up and proven there with this demo. And then the final part, as we get to it, will be this switch, which is when we send them out, we have another software switch that requests a participation for the end user to request a calendar receipt. So this is part of our secret sauce that makes us unique. This is built into the service stack of the AWS Calendar Invite Server. So mechanically, we track that. So every calendar invite that goes out, we request a receipt. And what happens in the receipt analysis here is it goes back up, and we have a process with the AWS Calendar Invite Server to actually take them, parse them, run some lambdas, and stuff them back into DynamoDB so these APIs here can visualize the data set itself. That's the end of the wrap up here for July 31st. Thanks.